What is up, NFC West football fans, and welcome into another edition of the NFC West Roundtable powered by BetUS. Week 11 is in the books. Tonight, we turn the page to Week 12, and we have three unbelievable games within this division this upcoming weekend. So without further ado, let's bring in the fellas to preview all of them. Jesse, Mike, Jake, and Brandon. I'm not messing around, fellas, when I say that this upcoming weekend for this division, I mean, all three of these games are phenomenal. We got two in the 4:25 p.m. window. We have one rounding out Sunday on Sunday Night Football. So let's start in that 4 p.m. window, and we'll head over to BetUS to take a look at the current odds going into Week 12. And right now, where we will start is an interdivisional battle with a ton on the line. Cardinals visiting the Seahawks. This is when you know it's good, folks. Right now on Bet, it is a coin flip game. It is a pick 'em. It is anybody's game to take between the Cardinals and the Seahawks. The Cardinals currently in first place in the West. Seattle tied for second with the Niners and the Rams, looking to get that much more of an edge. And in this division, that little bit could go a long way at the end of the year. If you want to get in on this game or any of the Week 12 games, all of the lines are up on BetUS. Use the promo code YouTube150, and that will get you a 150% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit and 125% bonus on your next two after that. All right, fellas, this one is going to be a good one. The Cardinals coming off the bye, Seattle coming off of that W over Jesse's 49ers. So, Jesse, I'll start with you. You are the team that just most recently played these Seahawks. How do you think that they favor against the Cardinals coming out of their bye?
Man, this is going to be a really, really fun game to watch. You know, if the Seattle Seahawks can win and go on a little bit of a run here, we can be looking back at that game against the 49ers as being potentially the end of a run for the 49ers and the start of something for Seattle and Mike McDonald and being able to put that team together, that defense together, and finally figuring things out. It was a really weird bye week for them. They had their center retire. They cut their best tackler. I'm thinking, man, they are in shambles, but Mike knows what he's doing, man. He knew exactly what he was doing, and he got the troops together, and they were able to beat the 49ers. But I'm not sleeping on the Cardinals. I think Kyler Murray's playing his best football. Kyler Murray's a dual threat. They've got a very good running game. I've got to imagine during the bye week, him and Harrison are trying to get on the same page there. And I think that defense is playing some good football themselves. Not near as talented player for player as the Seahawks defense, but very well coached. And they believe. That Arizona Cardinals team has belief. It is definitely in the 49ers' best interest if Seattle loses this game. But coming off of a bye, I'm going to pick the team that I think has just been more consistent and better all year. They had a very tough schedule to start the season. They fared decently during that time. And now they're riding a 4-game winning streak coming off of a bye, getting healthy. I think the Cardinals win this game. And I'm going to go 23-21 Cardinals.
Ooh, that sounds like a good one to me. Jesse's taking the Cardinals. Jake, we got a little bit of a taste of where your mind's at for this game in the Week 11 recap. You were waxing poetically about these Hawks going into the game. Talk to us how you see Seattle favoring against these number one in the NFC West Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, I think Seattle, they needed that bye so badly. And I think you saw it. And honestly, they did not only need the bye, they needed a beatdown game because they didn't really learn anything. You don't really learn much when you win. And they came in and just absolutely stomped the Falcons. So they needed one of those kind of get right games in the negative, in the opposite way. And so when the Bills beat the crap out of them, they came back the next day. They came back that week. They prepared to play the Rams. They took them to OT, right? You get the bye. You beat the 49ers. So you're doing the next 3 games are all NFC West. And right now you're 1-1. And you have a chance to go up 2-1 in this little mini NFC West series. And I think they're going to do it. And the reason I think that is because I think the Cardinals, who are really hot, I think the only thing that can slow down a really hot team is the bye week. I think the bye week works really well when you're really struggling. I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't like help at all for, a team that's hot. It helps everybody. But I also think it can hurt you. And a young team like the Cardinals that they haven't really experienced this before. I think it's going to hurt them. I think they're going to come out a little flat on the road. And I think Seattle coming off a huge win is going to look like a different team. Geno has played really well this year at times. He's had some down moments and whatnot, but I'm a believer in Geno Smith. I'm a believer in Geno Smith in the fourth quarter. And I think he can win this game. And so I'm going to take the Seahawks here. Now that DK is back and, Abe Lucas is back and Ernest Jones is playing lights out. And, I'm going to take them to win this game 27-20. Okay. So I do think they win this game in Seattle, and I think they have a shot to win again in Arizona. I'm not sleeping on this Seattle team. I know everyone tried to bury them, and I said, I don't think you could bury any of these teams because quite honestly, it's wide open. We can't just sit here and act like, yeah, this team's 6-4. So all the 5-5 teams are just going to, no, it doesn't work that way. So I do think Seattle wins this game. I'm still high on the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are a good football team, but I think that one game coming off a bye, you're going on the road. I think just, even if it's just a little bit, you're rusty early on. I think Seattle is good enough, especially with that defense starting to look more and more like a McDonald defense. That might be all she wrote.
Mike, between you and Brandon here, I'll start with you because you're at the top of the division coming out of the bye. And I'll tell you on that Week 11 recap, not a lot of love for your Arizona Cardinals. So talk to me. How do you come out against these Hawks and prove all the doubters wrong, despite the fact that up until this point, you feel like you've probably done that?
Yeah, I mean, you would think that how the Cardinals actually started off this season, right? The gauntlet that we started off with, and we left that with 6-4, right? And we were praising Justin Herbert. Guess what? We didn't allow a touchdown for him. Caleb Williams, same thing. I get it, he's a rookie. Aaron Rodgers, no touchdown. We this defense is now starting to kind of click. Now, I'm not going to come out here and say, oh, the Arizona Cardinals defense are going to shut down the Seattle Seahawks. No, I don't think that. I think this is going to be a shootout of a game, and that's exactly the type of game I love to see. So I think this game is actually going to come down to, I understand you guys are, getting the holes down to try to stop the run. But if you look at the stats, it definitely seems like that's probably still one of the big weaknesses. The Arizona Cardinals don't give up on the run like a Rams team might do, or maybe like a San Francisco 49ers team might do. The Arizona Cardinals are constantly relentless. Run the ball down your throat. And it's just not James Conner. Trey Benson, Amari DeMarcado. We got some pieces back there that we can go ahead and sub if James Conner needs a break. That is our identity. Now, let's say, for example, you're stacking the box on Kyler Murray, right? Kyler Murray is going to chuck the ball deep to, hey, what are the several weapons we got? Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, Zay Jones, Greg Dortch, right? It's a weapons galore for this Arizona Cardinal team to come out here and show the worth or the proof that this team is legit. Now, to me, legit, I'm not saying Super Bowl. Nobody's even talking about that. But what I'm talking about is a potential real suitor to win this West. And right now, hearing that the Cardinals could potentially be swept by the Seattle Seahawks that, had a good run from a Geno Magic end of season drive. I've said this on our live stream here when it came down to the San Francisco 49ers. We're not talking about the world beater San Francisco 49ers. And I said this last week as well. This is not the same team that people thought that they were going to be. They are a 5-5 team. It's still a good win for Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks, but it's what it is. You got to win. Now, all of a sudden, everybody's coming out here picking the Seattle Seahawks is absolutely crazy to me. Now, this game, like I said before, is going to come down to running the ball down the throat to the Seattle Seahawks. Now, I'm looking at the stats here of Geno Smith. Now, I'm not going to take anything away from him. Fantastic, right? When it comes down to chucking the ball deep down the field, he is doing it. He's doing a good job. He's got some good weapons. 11 touchdowns, 11 TDs. What does that tell me? He chucks the ball deep down the field and doesn't give an absolute F where that ball goes, right? So the Cardinals could potentially get a pick or two. We actually average about a turnover or two, or actually about a turnover per game. So I can definitely very well see the Arizona Cardinals do that. I have the Arizona Cardinals winning this game. I'm not going to say it's going to be a beatdown because I'm not going to disrespect our team within the division. You never know what's going to happen. But I do say the Cardinals win this game 31-21. By 10 points, the Cardinals win.
Brandon, you lost 5 of 6 going into the bye. The Seahawks had to show signs of life in a huge spot going out to San Francisco. They did exactly that. They got the W. It wasn't pretty, but a much needed W. They had to have it. They got it to remain within the race here in the NFC West. Are they going to be able to do that again against a divisional opponent a week later? Are they going to be able to take it to Arizona? How do you see this one going down?
Yeah, I think that this is when I'm going to give the Hawks a win for. This is an Arizona team that runs the ball, to Mike's point, legitimately, as well as anybody in this division, as well as anybody in the NFC. And they stay committed to it, and it's going to be a challenge. And if we'd faced the Cardinals 4 or 5 weeks ago, I'd probably be going, well, this is probably more a loss. But the NFL is about ebbs and flows, not how you start, how you finish. To Mike's point on that, and the 1-3 start as well. You know, that's not who you guys were through the 2-3 games. You're developing into what you become, and we're developing into what we're going to become. And I think that we're stopping the run a lot better. We're playing a lot better. Ernest Jones's impact, Tyrese Knight filling in there. You might have upgraded both of your 2 inside linebacker positions that have been the 2 big things that were at the forefront a bit in your inability to stop the run early on this year, because you've got the talent up front to get it done with those guys. They're good run defenders up there. Now, that's going to be the challenge here. And if you can get him into the 3rd and longs, then you can get a lot of what Mike McDonald wants to run out there as far as his creative packages and whatnot. I also don't think we have to be necessarily as fearful as far as the, Trey McBride's certainly a threat here, but when it comes to Harrison and some of the receivers on that Arizona Cardinal team, we've got the cornerbacks on the outside that can cover it up. I think Woolen's given up about 140 total yards receiving this year. Witherspoon has really come on from the slot if you want to line a guy up in there. So I think we're going to be able to handle him if we want to bring some of those stack fronts and simulated pressures and whatnot. But I also think that what's going to help us out offensively at this Cardinal team is as close as we've come to any team that's like the Falcons in the way that they don't necessarily rush the passer very consistently. And like our offense was able to go off in that game, when you remove what's been one of the big impediments from the offense being our ability to hold up in pass protection, it allows the offense to really start to now open up and cook. And I think that's what's going to happen today, where they're going to find, on Sunday, where they're going to find those holes to hit and come away with a 27-24 win, last minute drive by Geno to go get the field goal at the end to go take the dub.
Ooh, should be a good one. Can't wait for it. We'll stay in the 425 window for what should be another good one. Niners on the road against the Packers. The Niners are coming off of that loss to Brandon Seahawks. They need to have this one as bad as any game left on their schedule to try and keep pace. Like I mentioned, as you all well know, 5-5 right now are 3 teams within the division, and the Cardinals are just 1 game better. So every game is huge, and this is a tough one for the San Francisco 49ers. Not only are they on the road, but you have the Packers right now at 7-3, and right now on BetUS, the Packers, similar to this Cardinals-Seahawks game, it's a coin flip type game. The Packers are a 1-point home favorite. So we're projected to get a couple of great games here. So I'm going to start back with you, Mike. These Niners on the road against the Packers, and you had kind of said in the Week 11 recap episode, based on the upcoming schedule for the Niners, you just don't see it. Do you see it kind of unfolding starting this upcoming weekend?
No, I'm going to say the same thing I said before. Cooked. They're cooked. They might be a 500 team. They might be 8-9 win team. But like I said, expectations of what they were trying to do this year is going to be well below what any fan in the San Francisco 49er who reps the 49er logo, they're going to be absolutely disappointed. And it's going to start here with the Green Bay Packers game. I think the Green Bay Packers are a better team. They know how to win. And I'm not disrespecting the talent that they have in the San Francisco 49ers. I just really allude to the culture and what's going on over there, that they almost kind of seem, and it's happening all the time, nothing's clicked. They didn't have that aha moment yet where they need to be able to get these gritty wins, and they're just not doing it. So I'm going to give the win over to the Packers on this one. It's in Lambeau, so weather might be a factor there. So I'm going to say the Packers win this game 27-14.
LaFleur versus Shanahan, always a good one. Jake, who takes it this time?
I have the 49ers. I think the 49ers are going to win this football game. The Packers are not the best run defense, and I think this will get the 49ers run game going. You can also throw on the Packers. I think the 49ers are a better pass defensive team, and they're better against the run than the Packers are. Packers haven't really impressed me. When you look at just as of late, I mean, they barely beat the Jaguars, the helpless Jaguars, 30-27. They barely beat the Texans 24-22. They lost to the Lions, sure, but that Bears game, they won because they blocked a field goal. Okay, like let's not. So I understand, people are all excited about the Packers. We saw a very exciting game at the beginning of the year, them, the Eagles. And so I think everybody just was like, oh yeah, these two teams are some of the best teams in the league. But the Packers have not shown me consistently that they're one of those best teams in the league type. They're one of those teams that they're going to have to fight and scratch and claw, and they might not even make the playoffs, because when you look at their schedule, they have the Lions, they have the Dolphins, they have the 49ers, who I think they're going to lose this game to. They have the Seahawks. I think the Seattle Seahawks could win that game. That is in Seattle. They have the Saints. They have the Vikings. So everyone's kind of just, the Packers, they're in. I'm not sold on the Packers, and I'm not sold on the 49ers, but I'll tell you right now, I'm not sold on their demise. I've said this. I'm not backtracking. I really do believe the 49ers are going to win this game. I think Christian McCaffrey is going to look a little healthier than he did last week, and I think they're going to be able to run the ball with him. They're going to run the ball with Jordan Mason a little bit more than they did, probably more than 2 carries, I would say. And I think they're going to win a close game on the road, because desperate teams are dangerous, but desperate teams that already have a lot of talent are even more dangerous. So I'm going to take the 49ers to win this one. I'm going to go 30-21 49ers.
Wow. Brandon, what say you? Who takes it?
Yeah, I think I'm in kind of more of where Jake's camp's had it on it. I don't think that the Niners are done in this game. I'd love to scream in Shanahan's ear to run Mason in this one quite a bit against this Packers. And I think that the thing that the Packers want to do is what they've shown is maybe at their best, because Love's been up and down. I did think they're going to be better this year than they've actually been. They want to lean on that running game with Josh Jacobs. Both him and Saquon Barkley have been very good free agent success stories for those teams that sign those backs. But I think the Niners do actually a very good, quiet, subtle job of stopping the run, and have so this year. I will say this is a bit of a tough one to predict on, because where's Kittle's health with the hamstring? Probably not 100% coming back. They might throw him out there because it's a bit of a desperation situation. Bosa with that hip didn't look close to being ready to be back within a week. And if you don't have Bosa out there, that whole pass rush changes considerably, because let's also remember there's no Hargrave as well, gone for the year. And they not really, Leonard Floyd, it's a bit of a mixed bag with him out there, and what he gives you is the other edge out there. So that would be my one caveat, is I'll give the Niners the win if those guys are able to play and maybe take some Toradol shots or something to get through. But if not that, then it's going to be the Packers. If you don't even have Bosa, that alone would be enough for me to go, okay, you're not going to get it.
Jesse, a 7-game. I don't know if I want to say gauntlet, but it sort of feels like that to end the year here for the Niners. Every game seems tough. Even the Bears might be the weakest game on the schedule, but we all know that that's not an easy out. So it starts here against the Packers. How do you see it? I know it's been frustrating for your Niners, but does the frustration continue this weekend, or are they able to get over the hump and get off to a hot start to end the year here?
Well, I know that this will air on Thursday, but we're making these picks on Tuesday, and it is really hard to do so when you don't know who's in and who's out. And there's a lot of question marks for the 49ers, and one big question mark for the Green Bay Packers. So I'm going to go off of assumption. I think Kittle plays. Sounds like he's going to return to practice Wednesday. He was very close to playing on Sunday, so I believe he's going to play. Charvarius Ward is back in the building. That is a lift for sure. I think it's more of an emotional lift based off of what happened to him. As far as like a talent lift, yes, Charvarius Ward is a good player, but the 49ers corners have not been the problem at all. They've been playing really, really well. So that is a bit of an emotional lift, but I don't think Bosa is going to play. I don't. He already had an oblique injury, and because he was overcompensating, it was actually his other oblique that he hurt this week. So now he's got 2 oblique injuries. And I also don't believe Jair Alexander is going to play for the Packers. That's 2 big losses for these teams. But I think Bosa's a bigger loss, because the Green Bay Packers already have a very good pass protecting offensive line, and now you've got a team that's really not going to threaten you without Bosa. That is a concern for me. Obviously, if Bosa plays and Jair doesn't and whatever, that can flip my mind. But in this moment, that's the way that I think it's going to play out. And the Green Bay Packers, yes, they look very beatable. I agree with that. Jordan Love is almost guaranteed to turn the ball over at least once. That's what he does. But the Packers, even though they haven't looked good, they've found a way to win, which is not what the 49ers are doing. So in a tight game, which I expect this to be, I'm going to trust the Green Bay Packers at home to get it done, because they figured it out this year a little bit more than San Francisco has. And I cannot pick the 49ers again until they prove it to me. They're going to have to prove it to me. And maybe they can do that this week. But for right now, assuming Bosa doesn't play, assuming Jair Alexander doesn't play, I think that's a bigger loss for the 49ers. I'm going to go 27-24 Packers.
Let's turn to Sunday Night Football. Like I said earlier, 3 great games, and this certainly is one of them. The Eagles on the road against the Rams. The Rams are a 3-point home dog. You have the Eagles 8-2. They're trying to stay alive for the 1 seed in the NFC, just a game behind the Detroit Lions. Meanwhile, the Rams, they're trying to stay alive within the NFC West, which they are currently very much alive within. Will they remain alive? Will they remain lockstep with the rest of the teams in the division at the end of Sunday night? Mike, I'll start with you. How do you see this one going down between the Eagles and the Rams?
The Eagles, man, they are they're a pretty dangerous team with Saquon, man. Saquon is the Giants effed up, man. They effed up not bringing them back. That's all I got to say. But yeah, the Eagles are a really, really good team. And not to disrespect the Rams or anything like that, but I don't know. I just feel like that there's a certain amount of teams within this NFC, or I guess just the NFL in general, that are pretty top tier up there. And I do see like the Eagles are definitely up there. So I'm going to give the win over to the Eagles. I'm going to say 28-24 Eagles win this game.
Jesse, how do you see it going down Sunday night?
Man, I think the Eagles only have 2 losses, but I think they need this win. I'm looking at their schedule. They have Pittsburgh, they have Baltimore, they've got the Commanders again. I think if they want to win this division, this is a game that they're probably going to have to win. And the Eagles are good, very, very good. They're a talented roster, but I don't trust them fully. And that the reason for that is Nick Sirianni. I'm sorry. I'm looking at a few of these last games. I remember watching the Jaguars game. The fact that the Jaguars almost came back and won that, it was 100% Sirianni as to why. Their kicker has gotten a little bit of the yips as of late. It's in LA. And I think in what I believe is a coin toss game, I'm going to have to go with the team that's at home with the better quarterback, with the clear better coach. And I'm going to go with the Rams to win this one. 30-27
would be a huge W for LA. Brandon, do you think they get it, or do the Eagles wind up taking this one?
No, I think the Eagles do take this one because they've got the weapons to be able to attack where the Rams have their weaknesses. I think they're going to be able to get after him in the ground game with that offensive line that can run and open up holes, and Barkley being as dangerous as he is. And then the 2 receivers on the outside going up against the Rams corners in that secondary. I think that there's going to be some room to attack. Even Dallas Goedert, is kind of that underneath option for Hurts. I think that is going to be helpful for him. So I think that it's going to be a bit of a score fest at times on this one, and it gets down to like a 30-27 type of game. Stafford on the other side of it, that defensive line for the Eagles is rounded into shape, and Jalen Carter is slowly becoming a difference maker on the inside in this league at that position. He almost last week at times was taking over that game. On top of the fact their 2 rookie corners are excellent out there. So when you talk about Puka Nacua and you talk about Cooper going up against Quinyon Mitchell and then the kid that they took out of Iowa, those guys have done good. They've really held up out there. So I will give the nudge here on this one to Eagles with that 3-point that they're being given. That feels fair to me. 30-27.
Jake, it feels like the last time we saw the Rams in prime time, the narrative afterwards was not great. If they win this game, it feels like it will be the exact opposite of what that narrative was against the Dolphins. It really feels like this win can propel the Rams into national respect, so to speak. It just feels like this game is huge. With that said, how does it go down Sunday night at SoFi?
Well, I'll be at this game. When I got the tickets for this, I knew it was going to be a big game. I didn't realize it would be like a fork in the road type of game for the season. The last time I saw the Rams lose when I was at a game was 2017. It was Sean McVay's first game against his former team, the Washington Redskins at the time. And I don't think I'm going to see him losing this one. I think the Rams are going to win this one. I've been paying close attention to the Eagles. I think what you said about Nick Sirianni is really spot on. I mean, this guy was literally taunting Browns fans. Like, they won 20-16, and he was taunting Browns fans.
His own fans. They were at home. That was his own fans after a Browns win.
Oh, yeah. Well, you shouldn't have told me that. That's even worse. Yeah, this team, I do think they're good. but I don't think they're the Eagles of the Super Bowl and stuff like that. I don't think they're on that level. And you go back to that Packers game, and I think we all kind of set our expectations really high for them. But after that, they lose the game to the Falcons. They barely beat the Saints, right? They get crushed by the Buccaneers. This is the best team that they have played aside from the Commanders since going back to that Buccaneers game. And I just think, the Commanders game being in Philly, I think, that being in primetime and everything, it did get to Jaden Daniels. He finally had kind of that moment where you saw, okay, he's a rookie. Like, let's calm down a little bit. Let's understand this guy can make mistakes. He's allowed to. He's a rookie. I just think they've already had this experience playing at SoFi Stadium in primetime. They just did it, like you mentioned, Zbot. I trust Matthew Stafford in primetime, and I really trust him with what I was saying on the live stream. This offensive line seems to be really coming together. It seems like they have the 5 guys they want, and if Havenstein doesn't play, they feel really good about Warren McClendon Jr. And only giving up 3 pressures last week to a team that had 29 the week prior tells me that this offensive line is getting a lot better. It was the best game of the season, in my opinion, by Kyron Williams. They only ran 15 times. He averaged 5.7 yards per carry. Matthew Stafford, it was his highest passer rated game since his first game as a Ram against the Bears on primetime back in 2021. So I just think the Rams, whether people want to admit it or not, I think they're turning a corner. And I think that Dolphins game was it was a mistake to start 3 new offensive linemen. And there's a lot of shifting and moving on a unit that can't be shifted and moved around without a lot of, stuff going wrong. And I think they're going to prove that. I think they're going to beat the Eagles here. I'm going to say they win 34-31. I think it's going to be one of those kind of crazy games. And the Rams have had those against the Eagles. They just seem to never win those. The last time they beat the Eagles, I believe it was 2020. It was 37-19. Tyler Higbee had 3 touchdowns in that game. He will not play. But, yeah, I think they're going to win this game. And I think they're about to go on a tear. I really believe that. I think their defense being the 3rd right now in EPA since the bye, they're going to get after Hurts. They're going to force an interception like they did the last time. And I think they have a better team than they did the last time they played Philly last year. So give me the Rams 34-31.
I want to say this real quick. When the Rams lost to the Dolphins, like when you quickly look at the schedule, you do win-loss, win-loss. I think most of us thought that they would beat the Dolphins. I think probably all of us thought that. But then when you look a few weeks ahead, you're like, okay, the Eagles is probably a loss. Well, now that they've lost to the Dolphins, I will say this. I am picking them to beat the Eagles. But if not, Jake, this will be headed your way. I'm shipping it to your house if they lose on Sunday night. So be ready.
I need some forks. So I really appreciate that. Just a real friend right here. No, I get it, Jesse. And you know what? I need to see how it goes down. If they lose a really close game to the Eagles, this is still a good football team. Okay. They can only lose 2 more games the rest of the year. And that might not be enough. If the Cardinals win 11 games, that might not be enough, right? So they can only realistically lose 2 games, and that still might not be enough. They need to win this game because I've given them losses to the 49ers and Bills. I'm still not backing off the 49ers because I don't care if that team's out of it. They're not going to let the Rams sweep them. They're just not going to do it. They care so much about being the top dog in that whole little rivalry. They're not going to do it. And the Bills, Zeba, I don't have to tell you. The Bills, I don't remember the last time the Rams beat the Bills. I do. I was there in Buffalo. It was Sam Bradford. Okay. That's Sam Bradford versus Ryan Fitzpatrick. So
what a beauty.
Sorry to say,
That's
I have
classic.
no confidence in them winning that game. For whatever reason, the Bills just have the Rams number, but I do think they're going to beat the Eagles. If they don't, it gets a little hairy. I wouldn't call them out in the season, but I understand Jesse's point with the fork. And like I said, I need some forks. So I'm not going to root against my team for one, but
I love that. I understand Jesse's point, with the fork and all that. I understand. There you have it, folks. The Week 12 picks are locked in. And, man, I can't wait to be back with you next week to talk about how all 3 of these awesome games go down. In order to be notified about that episode and all upcoming episodes, on your way out the door, like button if you could, and subscribe button. That way you will be notified of all of our upcoming episodes, including that Week 12 recap, which is sure to be a banger. Also, on your way out the door, over on BetUS, all of these lines for these games and all of the Week 12 lines in general are up on BetUS. Get in on them using the promo code YouTube150. That'll get you 150% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit and 125% bonus on your next two after that. For Jesse, Mike, Jake, and Brandon, I'm your host, Z-Bot. Thanks so much for tuning in to the NFC West Roundtable, and we'll see you on the next one.
Go Cards.
Go on.